I arrived home early that day because the Dallas Quarterly Board Review had been abruptly canceled due to a scheduling conflict. I didn't feel the need to go to work, and for the first time in months, I wanted to do something simple, something normal. I went to that tiny corner cafe Belle loves, the one with the expensive prices, because it felt like a gesture, a small offering to the ordinary. She always says the cinnamon chai and organic muffins taste like home. I even remembered to request almond milk, not because I wanted it, but because after 15 years of marriage, you should remember those things. The house was quiet when I walked in. Not silent, but not alive either. No sound, no music, no kids arguing over the remote, just the subtle aroma of eucalyptus wafting from the hallway diffuser. And Belle humming softly while folding laundry. I heard her voice, clear and sharp, as the floorboards creaked beneath my steps toward the kitchen. It was her voice, but it wasn't for me. It was vicious in a way I hadn't heard in years. I don't think Saul even realizes those kids aren't his. She laughed on speakerphone. Can you believe that? 15 years and he still doesn't know me? I tell him all the time, he's a fool. I froze. The sound of her laugh, uncensored, wicked, bounced off the kitchen walls. I hadn't heard her laugh like that in years, if ever. I stood there, statue still. My heart thundered in my ears. The chai grew cold in my palm. The kitchen door was open. I saw her, robe tied lazily at the waist, legs crossed, twirling the phone cord around her finger as she laughed again. Her toes were painted red. If I ever find out, I swear, a man's voice said on speaker, Saul. Still believing, still calling our children his. I backed away, one slow step at a time. Not a word. I didn't yell. I didn't demand answers. How long? Why? How could she? Instead, I walked out the front door just as quietly as I had entered and sat in my car. The chai cup was still warm. I set it on the passenger seat. Watched as the lid fogged over. Looked at my hands. They were trembling. I didn't know if it was anger or sadness, or both. 15 years. 2 children. I held her hair while she sobbed over her sister's cancer. I stayed up with her on those sleepless nights. I thought I was building something indestructible. But I was just a lie she used to entertain her lover. The most shocking thing? There were no tears, no howls of pain, no fists to the sky, just a cold, spreading stillness. Instead of returning home, I drove to the lake, the one where we used to take the kids to feed the ducks before life got too busy. I watched the sun dip beneath the trees. The sky turned a bruised orange. My phone buzzed. It was Belle. Where are you? I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my notes app, created a folder, and named it Final Reckoning. I don't know why I chose those words. This wasn't a movie moment. This wasn't a confrontation. This was the kind of betrayal that mutates your DNA. When I got home, the hallway light was on. The kids were already asleep. Belle was on the couch, legs tucked under her, watching a reality show like nothing had changed. She glanced up and smiled faintly. You okay? I threw the cold chai in the trash. Just needed some air. Long day. Yeah, same. She turned back to the TV, like nothing had happened, like my life wasn't a lie. I went upstairs, kissed the kids goodnight. I stood a little too long in their doorways. Callie mumbled about a school project. Aiden was curled up with his soccer ball. Myra had her thumb in her mouth, her plush lion cradled under her arm. Rory had one sock on, and all I could hear was Belle's voice echoing, "He thinks they're his." I couldn't look at them. That night, I lay beside her in bed. She draped one arm across my chest, breathing steadily, like nothing was wrong, like her betrayal hadn't rooted itself deep into my lungs. I stayed awake, silent. At 3:17 a.m., I got up, walked into my office, turned on the desk lamp, and typed a single sentence. The moment you hear the truth and choose silence is the moment. You become part of the lie. I saved it. The next morning, I shaved. My hands shook just enough to leave a red line across my jaw. I didn't clean it, I just stared. How long have I been bleeding and not noticed? Downstairs, life went on. Toast burning, Belle laughing. Like she hadn't detonated my soul 12 hours earlier. I played my role. I dropped Aiden off at soccer camp, helped Rory with his art, kissed Myra on the forehead, but I couldn't look at them the same way, and I couldn't stop loving them either. Even if they weren't mine, I had to know. I started collecting strands of hair from their brushes, Ziploc bags, labels, Myra's science experiment, hat linings, pacifier stems, stored in a drawer she never opens. I called Gavin, an old friend from college, now a nurse in upstate. He didn't ask questions, just gave me a P.O. box and ordered 5 DNA kits under fake names. 10 days, the longest of my life. And when the results came in, one text, no matches, not one. I didn't respond. I sat in a park and watched strangers push children on swings. None of them looked like me. The wind felt sharp, cruel. My mouth was dry. The world I built. Birthdays, bicycles, bedtime stories. It wasn't real, none of it, but I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I let it consume me. Belle was in the backyard when I came home that evening, blowing bubbles with the kids. She smiled, like she hadn't burned the whole house down. Callie tugged my sleeve. "Can we go get ice cream?" I nodded. "Yeah, all of us." Her smile twisted something inside me. Was she not mine either? How could something so bright come from something so dark? But the results were clear. The next day, I hired a private investigator, Preston Vale. Discreet, expensive, thorough. I gave him a photo of Saul. Found it buried in a folder from Belle's college reunion 5 years ago. The way she smiled in that photo. It wasn't for a friend. It was for someone who knew her. Preston got everything. Where Saul lived, where he worked, how he scratched his nose. Turns out, he's a gym manager. Can't hold a job. Lives 2 towns over in a duplex. And the best part? My company, my business, approved an invoice for consulting and lifestyle branding work 2 years ago. My digital signature was on it. I had paid him, paid the man to be with my wife. She'd handled the billing temporarily while I was overseas. Looking for a CFO. She found one, a lover. That night I sat at the kitchen table, paper clenched in my fists. Belle slept peacefully, her body curled instinctively toward me in the dark. Not out of love, just habit. She'd stolen years, trust, identity. So I got to work. I started moving funds into a trust under my cousin's name. Scanned every document she ever signed in my name. Saved them in triplicate. I took Rory to karate. Helped Callie with homework. Smiled when Aiden beat me at FIFA. Brick by brick. I was building something again. But this time, not for her.